fireworks.
That's interesting. Fireworks today? You should have been doing fireworks last night.
But today's the 4th.
Yeah, but you usually do fireworks the third going into the fourth, not the fourth going into the fifth.
No, no, it just was the night of the 4th.
Okay, so when you do fireworks for New Year's, do you do fireworks New Year's going into the 2nd of January, or do you do it from the 31st of December going into the 1st of January? When do you
We
actually
do it
sell?
at midnight. At midnight on January 1st.
Right, so.
This on 4th of July, you don't do it at midnight on on July 4th. You do it after you've been drinking all day and being dared to like hold that fucking M80.
Mm-hmm. So it's amazing that you have the strength to actually go out and participate in the 4th of July, given your
Sitting,
circumstances.
sitting in the car,
Huh?
sitting in the car to watch a show.
Oh, is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
You're such a bum. What are you afraid of, like getting COVID or something?
No, I just don't want to walk around, man. My ass hurts.
It's always about your
Well,
ass.
on that note,
Yes.
well, Joe,
Welcome to the show. I'm Jake.
I'm Drake.
This is Jake and Drake Show, where we are perpetually repeating history by dealing with the flesh wounds of Darian's derriere.
Hopefully, this is the absolute last fucking ass surgery I'm gonna need. Supposedly, I went to the checkup last week. Everything's great. I got chewed out by the doctor for, oh yeah, last Tuesday when thought I'd be ready and I was sitting around. I wasn't supposed to be sitting that soon and blew a fucking gasket, started my period. Yeah, that was lovely. But got chewed out by my doctor for actually sitting on it before I should have, and but it's healing well, and in another 2 to 4 weeks I should be sitting just fine.
Mm. So, um, yeah, yeah, you're on your road to. How's your back?
It is. I've got to go get flexion something imaging done. Basically, I got to bend certain ways and they take X-rays and then look that over, and then they're going to decide how to proceed from there. I'm fighting with my insurance company about the leg pain because those cocksuckers don't want to give me the drug that both my fucking neurosurgeon and my GP have wanted me to take, because apparently I don't have like herpes or fibromyalgia or something. Um, they want me to take the one that makes me stupid. So
Okay. So, what about non-drug options? Like, I don't know,
like more surgery.
acupuncture, fucking massage.
Tried acupuncture,
Um,
didn't work. Been going to massage therapy. It helps. The massage therapy has helped quite a bit for my mobility and stuff. It does none of it's doing anything for the pain.
mm-hmm.
Acupuncture, or I guess it's called dry needling or something like that, because acupuncture is a legally defined term or something like that. I don't know, whatever. Same thing, same kind of needles, just done by the medical professional at the hospital instead of like in a you know basement of the Chinese herb vendor.
Yeah, that was my next thing was like Chinese herbs.
Not nothing for the pain, man. It's an issue with part of my back is banging on this nerve that is causing pain in my leg, and it'd be swell for that pain to go away because it's making me really fucking cranky.
Mm. Yeah.
But yeah, happy Independence Day.
Yeah. Happy Independence Day. Yeah.
It's funny though, seeing how people celebrate. You're saying, oh, well, why didn't you do it the other night? So, well, because this is the night that you get drunk all day and then you lose your fingers in the evening. That's how it's always been.
I don't remember. I normally, not saying I don't celebrate it. I normally would be grilling today, but it was an eventful weekend, so and I
Yeah,
go back.
but you have your barbecue today, this afternoon, and then the evening, the adults are all drinking, well, drinking all day, and the kids set off the sparklers, and the adults start setting off bigger stuff, and yeah.
Like I said, I would I'd normally be doing that, but it was an eventful weekend, and I really, I'm just giving you shit. I don't really know when the shit is celebrated. I just, to me, I think last year, I think I blew up fireworks on midnight because last year, it was COVID and blah blah blah, and there was a lot of people that were scared, and uh, at any rate, we ended up going to the park, and everybody in the neighborhood was at the park blowing up fireworks, and it was kind of, it's illegal to blow up fireworks in the city, but it's kind of like a fuck you to the city, especially with like the local.
It's illegal to set off fireworks celebrating our independence.
No, it is, but it's a city ordinance. It's city council.
I, just saying,
Yeah,
just saying,
I know,
man.
but normally we lived out in the country, and the county would usually the county we lived in would allow you to, but every now and then there'd be a ban on fireworks, not because of anything except the lack of moisture. So that's a little understandable because you don't really know when you send that bottle rocket off where it's going to go, or even if you have that like sparkler, that like just innocuous sparkler that's, it's going to spark and it's going to hit some brush, and it's going to start a blaze, and then it gets out of control fairly quickly because you can't expect.
Are you old enough? Are you old enough to remember the good sparklers, the ones like the metal wire that
Uh-huh.
you then like take and brand each other with after it?
Yeah, they still sell those.
Do they?
Yeah,
I thought they switched.
I got some in the garage right now from New Year's.
Hmm.
So,
I thought maybe that was just they got rid of them in California or something. It's been a while since I've been to a fireworks stand.
so where do you get your fireworks?
I
Do you not buy fireworks? So you talk about all this. Oh yeah, they're not gonna let you, and you don't even buy fireworks. So come on, man.
yeah, I don't feel a need to go to these, little stands at the corner and stuff like that to buy fireworks. No.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, nothing says celebrating your country's independence and freedom like blowing up a piece of it. So
Oh man, we need that divorce.
uh, yeah. So yeah. Independence Day. I guess.
That's always.
What's that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying so. Independence Day. Um, what is Independence Day for you, sir?
And while I look at it as one of those holidays that is used to kind of promote the state and statism and whatnot, I'm one of the folks that still believe, and I know a lot of libertarians will disagree on this with me and whatnot, but that the flag means something. Not the flag, the physical flag itself, but the symbol, just the I don't care if somebody burns a flag. I think it's disrespectful, but I don't think it's disrespectful to the flag, or to the country, but to the idea and the principle that it stood for when the country was founded. Our country now is shit,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand why these other countries and people feel the urge to burn the flag and so on. I think it's kind of dumb, but whatever. Uh, but that I still respect the flag and hold it sacred because of the idea it represented, which was the ideal of freedom and liberty for everyone. Now, some people disagree. Um, colonialism, blah blah blah. Yeah, whatever. Go fuck yourself. You know, but the ideals when it was created and the energy put into it over the last what 2.5 almost centuries uh is that of freedom and liberty and so on. So I still have respect for the flag itself. Now, I won't. I don't believe in the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't pledge allegiance to any flag or inanimate object or whatever the fuck. I can pledge allegiance to a friend, an individual, somebody I am truly loyal to, but not a fucking institution.
But a flag
If
isn't
that makes
the
sense.
flag you just said was like it wasn't an institution. It you said the flag represented freedom and liberty. So why wouldn't you
No,
pledge
the
allegiance to
flag
the
that is if you go down the line of it, pledging allegiance to the flag. I'm not pledging allegiance to the flag. The ideals of individual freedom and liberty
hmm
is great, but you don't pledge allegiance to an ideal of freedom and liberty.
Why wouldn't you?
It's
So
there. It's like,
so
go
no
ahead.
so like so if you recognize that the country's great because of its push for freedom and liberty, like and sometimes we try to give people freedom and liberty in countries that just you know what I mean, like
That have oil.
that what
That have oil. So you got to bring them some freedom.
It's a little more complicated than that. I mean, yeah, okay, ha 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 ha. It's a country that has oil. Let's go give it some freedom, right? But at the same time, if you recognize what this country stands for and it's represented by a flag, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Like I really don't care, but you won't play. You don't believe in the Pledge of Allegiance, but you say the flag. You know, the physical flag is one thing, and then the other part of the flag, which is the would be the physical part. It would be I don't know the
The
symbols.
symbolism.
Yeah, that would be freedom and liberty. And if you can't see yourself pledging allegiance to freedom and liberty,
No,
then
you're
what do
not
you?
pledging allegiance to freedom and liberty. You're pledging allegiance to the flag
And you said the flag,
of the United States of America,
but it is naming the specific flag. You're not saying I
and
pledge allegiance to the flag of
and to the
Liberia.
republic for which it stands.
Okay, so
So no, I'm not going. I don't believe in that.
hmm,
I'd still stand for the national anthem. I'd still be respectful during, while assembly was reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. But my word is, when it boils down to it, my word is all I have. And when the energy you put out, it may seem like nothing. People can rattle off take oaths and rattle off pledges and things like that, and it means nothing to them. But to
hmm.
me, um, when you take that oath, or take an oath, or make that pledge, your word is your word's all you really got in the end, man.
So what's the difference between the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance?
That's the national anthem's just a song. I mean, when I say I'll stand for it, I mean I'm showing respect for it,
hmm
like just as I'd stand for the pledge, just to show respect for the ceremony, the proceedings of what's happening. Um, but yeah, I'm not going to pledge allegiance to a fucking flag.
No, but I mean, what's getting away from that topic? What's the difference between the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem?
The anthem is the national anthem is an anthem. It's a song, like just the national song. A song that embodies the spirit of the country, or whatever. Um, the Pledge of Allegiance is a fealty oath, essentially.
hmm
Yeah, that's what it boils down to.
Interesting take there, sir. So you're growing up as a kid, you were blowing up fireworks, not drinking. Like, what'd you do?
Growing as a kid, I'd blow up fireworks and make my own fireworks.
What'd your family do?
Yeah, fireworks and barbecues, same old. One funny thing I was thinking about. Remember, just the other day when in Los Angeles, that SWAT van or whatever, the bomb disposal truck blew up. They were trying to like dispose of fireworks or something like that, and it blew up
When was this?
sometime last week. Just man, just a little. All it takes a little bit of containment, you know. I was one time I may or may not know someone who uh, strapped a bunch of firecrackers together and duct taped it all together and then put a little bit of gunpowder on top just to, so you would flash light all the fuses at once, right? And obviously you don't want the gunpowder falling out, so you just put a little layer of tape over the top. Just a little layer of duct tape is enough containment to keep it from flashing and cause it to boom.
Okay. And for those of you out there, we're not telling you how to build a fireworks bomb. He's just telling you what someone else
And
did.
and yeah, I would absolutely never ever do anything like that. But I will say I am surprised that I do have all my fingers still.
I am too. I did a
Like
lot of
you,
stupid
you,
things
you
as a
know, I
kid.
got a big fucking monobrow. It's burning it off, singeing my eyebrows off so many times as a
Wait,
kid.
what?
You want to know why I got such a bushy monobrows? Because I fucking singed it off so many times as a kid.
It actually grew back?
Yeah, I always grow back. You've never singed the hair off your arm or your face or anything like that? Burn your eyelashes? They grow back.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like I don't know. Something tells me that if you do enough tissue damage below the surface, that you're probably it's kind of like people that get
I'm
like
not. I'm not actually.
burns.
I'm not burn. I'm not getting a second degree burns or anything. I'm just, it's just enough of a flash that it singes all your hair off.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I will tell you that we didn't do anything extremely stupid. We just blew up fire ant mounds. We dropped like those M80s or whatever they were in buckets of water because we didn't believe that they would do anything. And surprisingly, they still blew up.
Did
We
they
put
bust open the sides, or was it? Well, I
Yeah,
guess you're not close.
no, it did. Like you drop it in a bucket and it because of the explosion, it just fucking just the really fast expansion, it would rupture the sides. So you had that going on, and then you had spiders getting shot at. Like you throw like a little. We were pretty bad kids as far, but I mean, that we're kids and put bottle rockets in trees and light them and shoot them off into like the woods. It's kind of funny. They just kind of look like little RPGs and shit. So, and like holding a Roman candle. I think everybody's done that. But yeah, so I'm surprised I still have all my appendages. Um, I guess, but I don't know. I think
I just thought of another situation that I really thought I lost fingers in that, and unfortunately, I don't think I can share it. That was before they all the activities of our youth became, fuck, man. The laws were the same. All half the shit I did as a kid, they would have called me a terrorist for. I loved making explosives. Just I was curious as a kid. Okay, this one time, um, in my chemistry class, we had all these different things, and we had kind of a syllabus that showed us what we were doing, and I would always try to save as much and set it aside as possible, on certain chemicals for reasons. And on like the last day that you know for this formula I was trying to put together, my chem teacher straight called me out and was like, "We need to talk." So yeah, it wasn't too slick.
Yeah, I don't know. I really haven't given Independence Day too much thought. I've been I've been a little disconnected from like the political discourse, not completely, but a little bit, and I'm just sitting here and I see the memes that you post and everybody posts on the Twitter or on the Discord, and I just I don't know, man. I remember how much more peaceful life was before you're an adult, and when your parents tell you like what the 4th of July stands for, and blah 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 blah, and this and this and this and this, and so you essentially take a country, and I read up a good history. I say read. It was like an audio book. I listened up a good history on it, and listening to how the taxation and the rights and the lack of taxation, on some things, basically caused the progression of what the colonies were to eventually starting a revolution and leading up to the Tea Party and all the things, right? And
All the authoritarian shit, right?
yeah, well, pretty much. And I'm not saying that's what I see now, because like it's a little different. Like you can't really. There's really not. It's not black and white. Like it's not like this is exactly what happened, but you remember hearing about that shit, and of course, like in history class you learn about that, and then you learn about slavery, right? Because you learn it, like, okay, because there was a civil war, and you just kind of see where people are today, and they just live in this scope, man, where the only thing they see, it's like when you hear the Europeans say that like the Americans only pay attention to the United States, and which is true, a majority of them only, like, they don't see what goes on in Saudi Arabia or what goes on in European countries or Russia. They don't, and maybe they don't even care. And it's like, well, do you see where we came from? We started off here, and it was all based off of speech and religion, and that's how it got started. And these people moved, and then they started colonies, and then this happened, and then the government over there did this, and then they taxed. And then so the people were like, well, fuck taxes. So we're just gonna fucking, instead of buying your stuff, we'll buy our own stuff, or we'll smuggle it. And then they're like, well, you know what? We're gonna send people over there, tax adjusters to do this and this. So they realize they're not getting their tax revenue, and it just progressively got worse and worse and worse. And what I found interesting was that, like, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I want to say it was Jefferson, was writing about how the colonists had tried so many times to peacefully tell the king, like, we deserve rights. Because I think it's at a certain point, like, there were like a couple million people living in the U.S. in the 1700s. A couple million. No, that's what I think I read. There was a lot more people living in the U.S. than the King of England had control over, and the only way that they could subsequently like exact control was through taxes, because most of the people, the U.S. had the raw goods, but England had all the factories. So they would take the timber and ship it to England, and then if you wanted to buy a chair, you had to buy a chair from England, and then you had to get taxed out of your nose, or. And then the tea thing. And then the tea thing was interesting because the tea thing was like reverse taxes. So you had like, okay, well, if you bought American tea, you were going to pay like a little bit of taxes, but the British were actually subsidizing their own tea. So their tea was cheaper because they were figuring out that, like, okay, well, taxing's not going to work. And then you had like the quartering of houses, and then of course you had the massacre, and you just had like all these things, and people just seem to focus on slavery. Like, and if you remember, like, well, and this is something else I had to refresh my memory, was like, the slavery thing was actually, England had slaves, okay? Just like every other fucking country had slaves, okay? Every other country pretty much had fucking slaves. Whether they were black, whether they were white, or whatever the fuck they were slaves, right? And, and as one of the things, because it was the Tories, right? The Tories were like the side of England, right? The rebels and the Tories. So the Tories were actually telling, like, okay, well, we're gonna ban slaves, but the English weren't against slavery until, like, right up until the Revolutionary War. That's when the English abolished slavery. But the English gave us slavery. Like, they we've all we known were slaves, and don't get me wrong, like we had slaves, and we weren't supposed to have slaves. And the way that the Constitution was written, it was supposed to be that all men and women were created equal. You know, blah 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 blah. Blah. All men were created equal, whatever. And yet we have slaves. But that's all they focus on. They don't focus on the religious persecution that led to the colonization, the freedom of speech, essentially the revolution, which led to, our civil liberties. They don't focus on any of that. Everything is focused on slavery, and as bad as it was, is there was the bloodiest war ever fought by Americans was fought over slavery. Uh, partially federalism, yes. Partially federalism, states' rights, yes, but slavery. Okay, and the reason I emphasize because I would argue that in fighting for federalism, which is pretty goddamn important because each state comes into the union willingly. Like, yeah, we want to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. We realize that this and this and this. We live on this landmass. We have similar interests. Blah blah blah. And those states wanted slavery, and the northern states didn't want slavery. And of course, we're leading into the Civil War, but like everything seems to be focused on slavery. Like we want to talk about civil rights, we want to talk about reparations, and it's like we did not found this country wasn't founded on slavery. It was just there. It's almost like saying, um, you went and I don't know, dude. You bought something, and as a byproduct of buying something, you got something else. So, fuck, I don't know, dude. Terrible example. You were really horny, and you paid for sex from a stripper, and as a byproduct, you got herpes or something. You didn't pay for herpes. Herpes was not the reason you were having sex to have sex. You were having sex.
I am absolutely, totally unclear of where you're trying to go with this
What
analogy.
I'm going is what Independence Day used to mean for me, and this is someone that has been disconnected from the social medium and something like I said I'm about 50% down. I'm really busy nowadays, but it's just like the focus is on slavery and black this and black that and white this and white that, and it's like this has nothing to do with the country. This has nothing to do with it. Like the country's inception had nothing to do with racism. Nothing. And yet, here we are telling everybody it was about slavery and bad country and this and this and this and this and this. So, I don't know, dude. It's interesting 4th of July. It wasn't even this bad last year, as far as because I don't know.
Oh, the
Normally,
world's the world's even more divided now. We've got one more line drawn, which is those that worship Fauci and those that think he's a fucking tool. So there's yet been another line drawn in the sand to divide us further, so we don't pay attention to who our real enemies are, which is the fucking state.
correct.
Uh, this day everybody's celebrating today about that's something else too, just to slightly tangent a bit. But people go out and they see today as a day for barbecues and this and that, and yeah, happy birthday America, this and that. Call it 4th of July or whatever. And it's fucking Independence Day.
Correct.
Thanksgiving isn't Turkey Day.
Correct.
It's Thanksgiving, and there's a reason for it. Um, so on and so forth. But like you were talking about, the actual founding is these were people who were fed up with oppression from their overlords and weren't going to take it anymore. And I think people need to kind of recenter their brains on that and realize, hey, when we stick together, we can do some pretty amazing shit. We were this little fledgling nation that took on one of the greatest world powers. And we had, I'm not saying we did all by ourselves. We had help, of course. But yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. I shouldn't have tangented because that threw my thought process off.
Well, no, it's pretty much that's what it is. Like to me, this Fourth of July is probably the first Fourth of July that I can remember that I haven't really felt like everybody that I live around, and I'm not saying I feel unsafe. I'm just saying I feel like I don't feel like the American principle, what it means or what it stands for, is I don't feel it's I don't feel everybody understands that. Like it's this isn't a subjective thing. It's not like there's things you can argue like, okay, this is how I feel, this is for what it is, because that's a subjective thing. But something as objective as algebra, it's 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. There's only one solution to that. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. And what this country was founded on is not subjective. It is not up for your interpretation. It is not up to what you think. It isn't up to whatever theory, whatever bullshit, whatever propaganda that you want to perpetuate to get yourself likes or get yourself paid. Like that's not what it is. And it's sad is because I feel like so many people, they buy into this. And there's fireworks popping off here, and I know there's a few people, one way and another way. You see the yard signs, and it's just it's crazy because the way that history is supposed to work is essentially you teach history, and then that history is taught through generation to generation to generation. And the powers that be now, it's well, we're going to teach that the country was founded on racism, and it's like that is not even factual.
Well,
That's not
that
even
is,
objective.
first of all, that, just to interject, that's a movement among a faction. Granted, the majority faction right now, educators, um, are leading that way or pushing that curriculum, and that's. I don't want to say that that's all that's being taught, because there is a lot of pushback about that.
And rightfully so. I'm glad there's some pushback. What gets me is that you see those educators that are like, how dare these parents? And it's like, dude, we fucking pay your salary. Like, what do you
Only
mean?
because we're forced to. Fuck that.
Because
We in fact,
to. Correct. Like, go ahead.
no, just, yeah, we are forced to pay for this stuff under threat of violence. Again, if you don't pay your fucking taxes, what are they going to do? They're going to come seize your property, take your shit, throw you in jail. That is threatening violence on you. So, yeah, they first of all, the school system, in my opinion, is so fucked up and so worthless. What they need to do is that, if they're going to keep funding schools, they need to fund the students. Personally, as you already know, I how I feel about taxes anyway. But if they're going to keep doing it, fund the students, fund the families. Send the, then they, you've got, two kids, you get 2 vouchers, which are good for whatever amount, and you can send them to a private school, to offset the costs there. Um, some would just take the vouchers, some might charge more, whatever. But make schooling competitive then. Oh, well, this school is going to be teaching this hokey bullshit. Fuck that. They don't get my money. Like that San Francisco school.
I really wish we could do that.
They had classes were canceled like the whole year, but they had 1 day of class just so they could get their big government COVID money, because they had to open up for at least 1 day in that school year. So it was just before graduation. They didn't even have classes. It was just basically go in and hang out in the cafeteria. It's all about money. The public school system's bullshit.
But that's the thing, is that's like that is the thing. Basically, people control the education system, and therefore they control what's taught. Therefore, that is passed on to future progeny. Like that's what I'm saying.
Homeschool your kids. Fucking homeschool your kids.
I know. But I'm telling you.
I will say that I am really, and I was thinking about this. I am really lucky that I had the teachers that I did, the ones that actually truly gave a shit and would take the time to actually teach you life skills, um, and keep you from blowing your fingers off, perhaps, but I am so that's something I'm so grateful, and I actually looked up a lot of these guys, and they're already long dead. That's what happens when you're old and you graduated from high school 30 years ago. But I really wish I could thank them because they were real true teachers who were in it because in fact one of them, he had so much money, he owned like over a dozen houses. He had no need to he had a catering company, no need to teach. He would come in every week and do a like hot link sale, and he'd buy all this stuff, and the money raised for it would go to the different school programs. He did it because he loved the kids.
Hmm. Like legit love the kids, like something like that.
Like, I mean, but he cared about our education, our well-being, and actually being productive in life. It was a biology teacher, and he would teach us this is the required curriculum for you to pass the standardized exam, and then we'd go through that as quickly as possible, and then go in. He was teaching about money management, how to manage money,
Hmm.
how to how to how you can feed a family of four off $100 a month. This was well 30 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
um, but things like that. How you can budget and how to live life, how to better yourself, how to get ahead in life, rather than just regurgitating the shit that the standardized test wants to see. So he'd be straight up. This is the shit on the standardized test. Now here's the important shit. And we don't have enough teachers like that. Or if we did, they would have been drummed out because they're not indoctrinating the kids the way that the establishment wants. But I'm lucky. I am blessed that I had teachers like that instead of teachers like they do today. Because I don't think I would have made it. I probably would have dropped out. Um, I was a smart kid who was bored, and half the time I never even showed up for class and would just take the test and do my shit.
Mm-hmm.
And, pass it, get by. Even never studying, never whatever, and skipping school so much, I still graduated with a B+ average.
Yeah. I feel like people really don't understand what the whole point of Independence Day is. I do. Okay, I do remember people trying to cancel Independence Day last year. That I do remember. I do remember that being
Yeah,
a
they
thing.
try and they tried again this year.
I didn't hear anything about it. Probably because I wasn't 100% on the. But I really don't. I think if people really understood like why, like the reason the colonists came over here was freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and then why that divorce happened was because of taxation and essentially, I mean, other things, right? You had other small things. You had the taxation. You had the quartering of soldiers in houses. You had searches and seizures. You had a lot of things going on that ended up in the first 10 amendments to the Constitution.
Well,
So
yeah, banning of import of firearms, man. That was one of the big things too.
and seizing firearms and stuff of that nature. So again, nowhere does it's not the foundation of this country. The beginning was not the principle of moving away from England wasn't slavery. Like England got rid of slaves as propaganda to get more people to become Tories than rebels. Like, hey, well, we're doing good stuff. We got rid of slaves. They only got rid of slaves because their shit was, like they were already on the hook. You know what I mean?
That was like 60. It's like 50 or 60 years after Brexit 1.0.
Well, I think it was in. I think it was. Man, I fucking really don't want to look up something while we're recording, but it was somewhere around that time. Like England only got rid of slaves. They outlawed slavery as it was a means of propaganda.
It was like 1833, dude.
Was it? Are you
Yep,
sure? Did you look it up?
yep. And I didn't look it up right now. I can look it up right now.
Mm. Yeah, but the country. It wasn't like we're coming over here because we can have slaves. Like no, like everybody had slaves, and just to keep things 100, um, those slaves that the colonists had, the slave trade, like they were sold into slavery by other black people. Let that sink in. Like it wasn't like the white people went into Africa, went into Djibouti, went into South Africa, went into Niger, and just rounded them up like cattle. That's not what happened. Like what happened was they showed up and they're like, hey, we have people for sale, and those are by tribes in Africa that are warring and they don't get along, and one tribe comes to power and they enslave the other ones. That's just how it worked.
So here's it is. It was a Slavery Abolition Act 1833. Abolished slavery in most parts of the British Empire. Expanded the jurisdiction of the Slave Trade Act in 1807, which I think banned the import of slaves. I don't remember. I have to look that one up. Uh, and made purchase or ownership of slaves illegal within the British Empire, with the exception of territories in possession of the East India Company, Sri Lanka, and San Helena. So
Hmm.
1833 is when it was actually abolished.
Mm-hmm.
And the Slave Trade Act of 1807 prohibited the slave trade in the British Empire.
So the country wasn't founded on slavery. It really
No,
wasn't. It was founded on freedom of speech, freedom of religion, uh, right to defend yourself
yep,
against a tyrannical government, uh, freedom
yourself and
of
your property.
your property, freedom of searches and seizures without due cause. Like there's so many things, so many fucking things. Just look at the first 10 amendments. Nowhere in there does it have anything freedom to enslave another man. Like nobody's perfect, and a lot of these people that had slaves that were right in the Constitution, like you'd be hard pressed in history to find them. I guess with the exception of Thomas Jefferson or a guy that had like babies with some slaves. Like I don't see what's wrong with that. Why? I mean, what's wrong with the light skin? What's wrong with the light skin baby? Like really? Like I'm a light skinned baby. What the hell's wrong with that? Like there's a lot of good dudes that sometimes do bad things, and that doesn't underscore anything they did. You know, Martin Luther King wasn't a saint either, and he did a lot of great things. There's a lot of good people. They're not perfect. That's why we're people. That's why we're not heavenly beings. We fuck up. We sin. That's what we do. But things should amount to like things should matter. Like good things you do should matter. I'm not saying okay, you cured cancer, now go out and rape a bunch of people. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying like okay, we can all say he was a flawed man or she was a flawed woman, and they did great things, and this is what this country was founded on. It was founded on I want to worship my God. I want to speak my piece. You know, and essentially, what it all boiled down to was taxation without representation. Okay, that's what it boiled down to. There was no representation, even though there was a House of Burgesses. Like there was just still no representation. Like nothing we said was echoed to from the colonies to the mainland. So, um, but yeah, I gotta cut it short because my son's going buck wild and she's cooking. Um, what you got going on after this? You going to the fireworks show, sir?
It works.
Yeah. Well, you do that. You have a good time. We got to do a couple makeup streams this week. Maybe we can do one like on Wednesday. Maybe we can do one on Saturday and then Sunday the norm. But we got a lot of leg work to do, sir. Hopefully you're feeling better.
Yeah, somewhat.
Um, you have a final word you'd like to put in, sir?
A couple little things. Just first of all, for those in the United States, this is Independence Day, not the 4th of July. It's 4th of July for the Canadians. Let them have their day. This is Independence Day for citizens and residents of the United States of America, as fucked up as it is. So I'll close with a quote and then a little bit of information. This is from a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to Isaac Tiffany. Rightful liberty is unobstructed action according to our will within limits drawn around us by the equal rights of others. I do not add within the limits of the law, because law is often but the tyrant's will, and always so, when it violates the rights of the individual. So keep that in mind. That's what liberty is. That's individualism. The individual is the smallest minority anymore. So don't oppress the individual. And just don't forget the meaning of today. This is what the founders were. They were, the ones who vandalized the tea, and dumped it in the harbor, and owned guns that when they were told that they couldn't keep them anymore. They fought it. They committed treason and insurrection against the redcoat armies. And of course, they evaded taxes because, well, as you already know, taxation is theft.
Well, thank you very much, sir, for the final word. I appreciate you. Those of you watching, I hope you have a happy Independence Day. Go ahead and share the video. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, dislike even. Any interaction is good interaction. But yeah, I wish the best for everybody. Hopefully you're enjoying that 16 cents off your barbecue compared to your dollars per gallon on your gasoline. But
Yeah, and if you dislike us, if you don't like what the fuck I'm saying, one, why are you listening to us? Two, tell us why you don't fucking like what I'm saying.
Because you're anarchist. I don't know, dude. but yeah, dude, leave a comment. Dislike us and leave a comment.
You still use Facebook, right, Jake?
Yeah.
I'm the social extremist that you've been exposed to.
Was it a social extremist or just an extremist?
It's extremist,
Yeah.
social media extremist.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm cool with that. Oh, by the way, well, I'll get with you offline about that. But everybody, thank you for tuning in to the show. I'm Jake.
I'm Drake.
It is Jake and Drake Show. We will be doing some makeup streams later this week. Get some more content up for you. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys soon.